In marriage, is it possible to be in the same room or even in the same house and feel like you're miles apart? The answer is yes, unfortunately. But what do you do? How do you close that distance? But before I get into all that, let me welcome you back to my channel. My name is Ayana, and this is Beyond Committed, where we talk about everything from life, faith, family, marriage, motherhood, and everything in between, and we take them beyond. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I'm so glad you stopped by. And to make sure you're not a stranger, make sure you press the subscribe button below and then turn your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now let's dive right in. Life is busy. In the midst of trying to get everything done, it can be easy to kind of just put our marriages on autopilot, realizing between life and careers and kids and ministry, and the list can go on and on, our marriages sometimes get off of the top of priority list, which is where it should be. But the truth of the matter is, in the midst of life and trying to do all of the things and trying to wear all the hats and wear them well, we often can just put our marriages on the back burner. And over time, we become disconnected. We become distant, even if you're in the same home. And I know for my husband Eric and I, it has happened to us at different times in different seasons. He travels a lot for work, so often we're kind of like ships passing at times, just because that's just the nature. But that's something that we've grown to have to just be intentional about. And sometimes when we're not intentional about it, we become disconnected. And then when you throw my kids in there and all their activities and trying to get them from here to there, when he can take them, when I can take them, and being Mobby Uber and doing all the things, it can be so easy to kind of just put the business of our lives ahead of being intentional and intimate in our relationship and in our marriage. So it's so important that as wives, when we feel disconnected from our husband, when we feel that, okay, we're together, but not really together, we are mindful of that and then put in the work. There are things we can do. And I want to share with you 5 things that you can do to reconnect with your husband today. The first thing you can do to reconnect with your husband is set like 5-minute daily check-ins. And by this, I mean not going over the list of to-dos, like checking off things like, okay, I have this to go, we have this appointment, you have to go here, where are you going for work, this is what I'm doing, break, kind of like a business meeting. No, it is an intentional way for you to kind of just check in on each other, see how you're doing, just to have a talk, not talk about anything in particular or trying to get life, business, or house stuff done, just trying to reconnect. And 5 minutes may seem like, okay, that's not a lot of time. It's not, but it's doable and it matters. And if you do this a couple of times a day, you'd be amazed how much you can reconnect with each other. Like, in the morning, in the midst of doing things, in the midst of getting breakfast or going out the door or whatever it is, take a few minutes just to connect. How are you doing? How does your day look today? Is there anything I can do for you? Is there any way I can bless you? I know my husband does that to me often, and it is such a blessing. And sometimes I don't even have anything for him to do, like in the top of my mind. Like, there's no husband checklist that I have, running in the back of my mind. Like, okay, I need him to do this when I'm gonna ask. Not even at those times do I always have those. So it's so important that we are being mindful of just being able to check in with each other, seeing how you can love each other well, seeing things you can do for them that you may not have been aware of. And I know this may feel like, okay, well, I'm adding one more thing to my to-do list, but your husband should always be on your to-do list in more ways than one, if you know what I'm saying. So I would encourage you as wives to make sure we are spending that intentional time checking in. And 5 minutes, it can be done. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out conversation. It doesn't have to be about all the things. It can just be time spent just checking in so you can kind of reconnect after feeling disconnected. And another way for you to reconnect with your husband is find time daily to pray together, whether it's in the morning before you kind of get going, whether it's in the middle of the afternoon when you have like a lull moment, or it's right before you go to bed, whatever it is. Because I am an advocate, a encourager, all the things for prayer, because I truly believe that a praying wife is a powerful wife, but a praying couple is an unstoppable couple, and it's something that you need to do together. And it also allows you not just to connect with each other, but allows you to reconnect with God in so many ways. So that is definitely a win-win. There's so many ways that you can pray with each other, and there's so many things that you learn by praying for each other and with each other, because there are things that you may learn that you're like, okay, this is something he may be struggling with, or something that you share in your prayer that you may be struggling with. And this is then an opportunity for you when you're alone to pray for each other individually, because it's so important that as a couple you are praying together, yes, but you're also praying for each other when you're by yourselves, because there are so many things that your husband needs covering on prayer that you as a wife can do, and he may not even know it, but you covering him in prayer is such a blessing, it's such a benefit, and it's such a tool for you to use as a wife, to grow as a wife, to grow in your relationship with God, and to grow in your relationship with your husband. Because you'd be amazed how over time, with you praying together, then you like doing your 5-minute check-ins, you can actually check in about the things you've prayed about, kind of talk about, okay, how is that going, if it's having a struggle with work or having with the kids, or just, health-wise, whatever it is. It's so important that as we pray, we can also use our 5-minute check-ins to kind of check in on our prayers, to get praise reports, to get updates, to know how we need to pray differently, how we need to pray more, or that God has answered the prayer, or whatever it is. It's so important that as a couple, you are committed not just to being prayerful as individuals, but you are committed to staying connected through prayer as well. And the third way to reconnect with your husband is to make sure that dates are a routine, whether they're breakfast dates, lunch dates, dinner dates, whatever it is. Just making sure that you are intentional about spending time together, because you make dates, you put things on the calendars for all the other things you need to do, whether they're dentist appointment, doctor's appointment, kids soccer games, PTO meetings, all of the other things that you have on your calendar, work stuff, family stuff, all of the things that you put on your calendar that you are committed to being intentional about showing up for. You may need to make sure we're showing up for our marriages as well, and making sure that dates are a routine is so important, because in the midst of doing all the things, that is one thing that kind of just gets slipped under the rug, and it's kind of like, okay, I'll get to it. And then you don't get to it because something else comes up, or you're just tired, or you're like, we didn't have anything planned, so we do nothing. So we need to make sure we are removing the excuses. So by putting something on the calendar, even if it's not big, I know for me, sometimes it's like, hey, we have a date night on the calendar. And sometimes we don't plan what to do until the day. We're like, but it's on the calendar, so we're committed to it. So there's nothing that's going to get in the way of us doing something, even if it's not planned. Sometimes we plan something, sometimes we don't. But it doesn't matter. As long as you're being intentional about spending time together, that allows you to reconnect. And another way for you to reconnect with your husband is to plan a getaway. Now, this takes date night to the next level, because in the midst of even all the scheduling, in the midst of fitting date nights in, it still is in the routine. It's still in the familiar. So by planning a getaway, you remove all that. You remove the distraction. You remove work, kids, even your home. Because you know how when you're in the house sometimes, you're kind of like, we're hanging out and we're chilling, but then you see something. Oh, I need to clean that. Or, oh, I need to fix that. Or, oh, we forgot to do that. And then you're kind of busy doing things again and not really focused on each other. So I would encourage you, if you haven't done it in a while, or you just feel you really just need to reconnect, plan a getaway that you can just hang out with each other, whether that is in a hotel close by just for one night, or you get to get on a plane and go for a few days with you and your hubby and then some sandy beaches, or if you like snow, in a snow cabin, whatever it is, doing something that's intentional and getting away, getting outside of the norm and getting outside of the routine is so important. And if you can't get away right now, planning it is a great way to reconnect as well, because you get to share ideas, you get to plan things, you get to look at the next thing together, and it's like, okay, let's do that. Oh, you want to stay there. Oh, you want to go there. Oh, what will we eat? Where will we go? What will I wear? All those things allow you to kind of just get your juices flowing and allow you to reconnect and see that, okay, this is important to us. So doing this together is a great way to reconnect as you plan, and then it's a great way to reconnect when you get there. And the fifth way to reconnect with your husband is to make sure you're surrounding yourselves with happily married couples. And I did say happily married couples because birds of a feather flock together. And you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with other couples who also want to grow in their relationship, also want to be happy, committed, and God-centered as well. Because in the midst of all of the things, and when we are disconnected, you need those people around you. You need those other wives. He's going to need those other husbands, and you're going to need those other couples around you to help you to stay focused on what's important, to help you reconnect, to pray for you, to walk beside you, to be there for when you need to share those things, for when you are feeling disconnected, and give you tips and advice, and just come alongside you and love on you and pray for you and have fun together as well. Because I know talked about doing getaways, having couples get getaways, like as groups, is fun too. So that may be a way for you to reconnect both with your husband and with your friends. So it's so important that in the midst of trying to find different ways to reconnect, realize that there's no one way to do it. There is so many different ways that you can find unique ways for you to stay connected, but ways that are intentional, ways that are meaningful, and ways that mean the most to you. All right, that's it for today. And I want to know, what's one way that you stay connected to your husband? Let me know in the comment box below. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and then make sure you press the subscribe button and turn your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now until I see you again, bye.